You know, there may be something about Mary, but there's everything about Irene. I don't know about you, but for me, she embodies kind of everything that I love about classic film and the golden age of Hollywood. The wit, the sophistication, the charm, the talent, oh, and there's a little thing that they used to call class. I don't know if you remember that or not. You guys remember it. I know you do. Well, you know, that's what I love about Irene Dunne. That's what I love about the Classic Film Festival. And this is, you know, this is a great example of one of those movies that it's kind of been forgotten, you know, and I think most of us would probably never even get the chance to experience it if it weren't for the TCM Film Festival. It was unfinished business, yeah. Yep. Unfinished Business was fairly popular and well received when it was released, but then it just kind of fell off the radar over the decades. You know, it just kind of dropped out of view, but it's a great hidden gem to rediscover, or to discover for the first time. It was made at a transitional moment, not only in the career of Irene Dunne, and for that matter, the careers of Gregory LaCava, who conceived, wrote, produced, and directed the film, but also the careers of co-star Robert Montgomery, and yes, and a transitional moment in the film industry and the world at large. It was shot in the spring of 1941, so several months before the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Yep. But I wasn't laughing at Pearl Harbor, I was like waving at someone in the audience. Not a joke, but in fact, the U.S. was gearing up for war already, even though it was before that event. You can see it, and this makes it onto the screen. Robert Montgomery's character, as you'll see, joins the service toward the end of the film, and this mirrors exactly what was happening on the set. Montgomery had in fact joined the Navy and was scheduled to ship out before production ended, but the Navy does not wait for a film to be finished, so they actually had to rush it through and wrap it early to accommodate this. So yeah, this was the dawn of World War II, and the mood was becoming more serious, and it's really interesting to me how the tonal shift in the world prompted a tonal shift in the movies, particularly this movie, which is comedy with a heavy dose of drama. And you can really see that transition because the screwball comedies that were so popular in the like mid to late 30s, that was kind of dying out, or it was coming to a close. It had really just, the genre had run its course. But two luminaries of the genre were, of course, Irene Dunne and director Gregory LaCava. He's known, of course, you all know My Man Godfrey, which is brilliant. And Irene Dunne, you also all know, I'm sure, started more in drama, and then she had a huge breakout, you know, performance in Theodora Goes Wild in 1936, and she went wild on the screen, and again in The Awful Truth, of course, My Favorite Wife. So she became known as really a force to be reckoned with as a comedian as well as a dramatic talent. And in the book, The Screwball Comedy Films, I love that Dwayne Burge and Robert Milton Miller wrote, quote, Irene Dunne cornered the market on temporary abandonment of dignity, which I think sums it up pretty well. But the thing is, you have to have an inherent dignity to begin with in order to be able to convincingly abandon it on screen. And so that's really the trick. That's what Irene Dunne had that was so rare a quality. She was an honest to God lady. She really was in Hollywood. And she wasn't the only one, but she was known as the First Lady of Hollywood. And as her director, Gregory LaCava, put it, if Irene Dunne isn't the First Lady of Hollywood, then she's the last. So, you know, her dignity, her temporary lack of dignity, her skills as dramatic actress and a comedian are all showcased, I think, brilliantly in Unfinished Business, and it's a great showcase for the rest of the cast as well. Of course, we mentioned Robert Montgomery, Preston Foster, and yes, Eugene Pallette, who you know from many character roles. Yeah, okay, so there's even, let's see, yes, okay, Unfinished Business combines the best of both worlds with comedy, drama, and romance. A lot of romance. In fact, there's even what I like to call a production code sex scene in the film. You can identify it as a sex scene from the production code era by the fact that there's no sex in it. Not even a little bit, not even close, actually, but there is sexual chemistry aplenty. There's sensuality, there's suggestion, there's lots of innuendo. It takes place on a moving train, so how much more innuendo do you need, really? You'll see what I'm talking about. I won't give it away. So it's also watch, or listen rather, for that great La Cava dialogue. Some really passive-aggressive one-liner insults in there, like, I hope you don't fall down the elevator shaft. And don't slip on that wet pavement and break your neck. You know, you can use things like that in your own life. I plan to. It's very, you have to kind of be waiting for someone to be getting on an elevator. It's kind of specific, but anyway, it works really well in the movie. It was successful enough, this film, to prompt a follow-up film, Lady in a Jam, from 1942, also with Dunn and La Cava. It was not as successful as this film, because the screwball comedies were just really coming to a close. You know, that trend was over. And La Cava's career kind of faltered after that, and then Irene Dunn returned more to drama, and she really wouldn't do as much comedy in the future, straight comedy anyway. But for now, we have this film to remember it all by, made at that transitional moment, and the comedy and the drama, and it all comes together, and that's all I'm going to say. I hope you enjoy it as much as I have.
Thank you.